Look across the desert. Can you feel the silence? There are seasons when God hides you before He reveals you. Moses knew that wilderness, 40 years of forgotten days, 40 years of ordinary dust. The prince became a shepherd. The voice that once echoed through Pharaoh's halls became quiet among wandering sheep. And maybe that is your story tonight. Maybe life feels hidden. Maybe your purpose feels buried beneath years of waiting. Maybe heaven feels silent, but listen carefully. God does His deepest preparation in the wilderness, because when the fire finally appears, you will know His voice. And when He calls, even seas must move. Keep walking. The desert is not your ending. The fire is about to speak. Across the sand, beneath the stillness, a shepherd walked forgotten years. No throne remained, no earthly glory, just silent nights and hidden tears. But in the dust, a fire was waiting, a holy flame that would not die. And from the blaze, the voice of heaven called him beneath the desert sky. Moses, keep walking, though the desert feels so long. Moses, keep walking, God is writing freedom song. When all your years seem lost in silence and every answer feels delayed, the fire of God is still preparing the path where seas will make a way. Came the night of fierce oppression, the cry of captives filled the land. But heaven moved through blood and mercy, and Pharaoh shook beneath God's hand. Then stood the sea before the promise, behind them thundered fear and chains. But Moses lifted holy weakness, and heaven answered once again. Moses, keep walking, though the waters block your way. Moses, keep walking, God will split the sea today. When every wall looks strong before you, and darkness says your hope is through, the God who called you from the fire will make the impossible move. Let the harmonica cry like thunder. Let the accordion loudly proclaim. Let the piano roll like waters, magnifying heaven's name. For the sea obeyed His whisper, and redemption broke the chains. And the God who leads His people still is mighty just the same. Moses, keep walking, for deliverance is near. Moses, keep walking, faith is God who called you through the fire will lead his children home. Lift your staff, the sea will move.
Look at the sky for a moment. Can you imagine what it felt like to obey when nobody believed? Noah knew. Day after day he lifted the hammer, wood against wood, faith against mockery. The people laughed, they pointed, they mocked the warning God had placed in his heart. The sun still shined, the wind still felt gentle, and to everyone else it looked foolish to build an ark where there was no rain. But Noah was not building for what he could see. He was building for what God had said. And maybe that is your story tonight. Maybe God told you to build when no one understood. Maybe they laughed at your obedience. Maybe they called your faith foolish. But listen carefully. The rain always proves who was listening to God. Keep building, because what heaven commands, heaven will sustain. Heaven's whisper in his soul, he kept on building through the silence while doubts surrounded every board. The skies were calm, the earth was laughing, and every mocking voice grew loud. But Noah heard a greater thunder beyond the silence of the clouds. Noah, keep building, though no rain falls from the sky. Noah, keep building, faith will answer by and by. When every voice says you are foolish and darkness hides what lies ahead, the God who spoke the first beginning still keeps every word he said. Then came the wind, the sky grew heavy, the trembling earth began to shake, and every voice that once was laughing was silenced by the flood and rain. Inside the ark was holy mercy, safe beneath the Father's hand. What looked like madness to the doubters became salvation by command. Noah, keep building, though no rain falls from the sky. Noah, keep building, faith will answer by and by. When every voice says you are foolish and darkness hides what lies ahead, the
the accordion call his name. Let the piano roll like waters, and the church ignite in flame. For the God who shut the doorway still is faithful just the same. And the ones who trust his promise never build their faith in vain. No, I keep building, for the rainbow waits ahead. No, I keep building. Life will rise where hope seemed dead. And when the storm has passed around you, you will stand and testify. The God who told you to keep building was preparing higher skies.
Listen to the night. Can you hear the sound of regret? Peter knew that sound. He had walked on water. He had seen miracles. He had heard the voice of Jesus with his own ears. And still, when fear pressed hard enough, he denied the one he loved. 3 times, then came the sound he would never forget. The rooster crowed, and suddenly the weight of failure fell upon his soul. And maybe that is where you are tonight, haunted by what you said, broken by what you became, certain that failure has disqualified your future. But listen carefully, grace is never surprised by your weakness. The God who called your name already knew your failure before he ever chose you. And when grace calls again, it never comes to shame you, it comes to restore you. Listen closely, he is calling your name again. The fire was low, the night was heavy, and fear had filled the cold dark air. The words escaped like bitter arrows, and failure settled everywhere. Then came the sound that broke his spirit, the memory he could not outrun, and tears fell hard beneath the darkness for what his trembling heart had done. Peter, keep weeping, grace is closer than your shame. Peter, keep weeping, mercy still recalls your name. When all your failure stands before you, every hope feels torn apart, the God who knew your deepest weakness still has restoration for your heart. Then by the shore at early morning, a fire was burning once again. The voice of love was softly calling to heal the wound and cleanse the pain. 3 times he asked the deepest question, and 3 times mercy made him whole. What shame had broken, grace restored there, and holy fire revived his soul. Peter, keep rising, grace has spoken once again. Peter, keep rising, mercy heals where you have been. When all your weakness feels remembered, and every scar still speaks your fall, the God who called you at beginning still has purpose through it all. Let the harmonica cry redemption, let the accordion loudly proclaim, let the piano roll like mercy, magnify in Jesus' name. For the grace that found old Peter still is calling just the same, and the God who restores his children still revives with holy flame. Peter, keep rising, for your calling still remains. Peter, keep rising, grace redeems through all your pain. And when his voice speaks through your breaking, all the world will clearly see the God who turns our deepest failure into living destiny. Called your name again. Rise and follow.
Look at the field. Sometimes God begins his greatest miracles in places that feel forgotten. Ruth knew that field. She had known loss. She had buried dreams. She had walked away from everything familiar. No applause, no promises, no certainty. Just faith, taking one faithful step into an unknown future. And maybe that is where you are tonight. Standing in the remains of what once was, trying to trust God while carrying grief, wondering if redemption can still find your name. But listen carefully. God often writes his greatest stories in quiet places. A field, a whispered prayer, a simple act of faithfulness,
He sees every hidden tear, and redemption always knows where to find the faithful. Keep gathering what remains. Grace is already walking toward you. Across the field, the evening waited, and silent sorrow filled the air. The days were long, the road was broken, yet mercy gently led her there. With empty hands, she kept on trusting, though loss had stolen all she knew. And every step through hidden grieving was leading her to something new. Ruth, keep walking, though the harvest still seems far. Ruth, keep walking. Grace already knows where you are. When every dream feels torn and scattered, and sorrow clouds what lies ahead, the God who gathers broken pieces will raise new life where hope seemed dead. Then came the kindness unexpected, the quiet mercy drawing near. Redemption moved through holy favor and slowly healed the waiting years. What once was lost became abundance. What once was pain became a song. For God was writing through the silence a story greater all along. Ruth, keep walking, though the harvest still seems far. Ruth, keep walking. Grace already knows where you are. When every dream feels torn and scattered, and sorrow clouds what lies ahead, the God who gathers broken pieces will raise new life where hope seemed dead. Let the harmonica softly testify. Let the accordion gently proclaim. Let the piano roll like mercy, magnifying heaven's name. For redemption found the faithful, and restoration surely came. And the God who lifted Ruth still is mighty just the same. Ruth, keep walking, for the morning now appears. Ruth, keep walking. Grace redeems forgotten years. And when redemption blooms before you, all the world will clearly see the God who rides through broken seasons still restores eternally. Grace has found you. The field will bloom again.
Look into the fire. Can you feel how hot obedience can become? Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego knew that heat. The king had spoken, the music played, and all around them people bowed, but not these three. They stood, not because they were strong, not because they knew how it would end, but because some things are worth burning for. And maybe that is where you are tonight. The pressure is rising. The world is demanding compromise. The furnace is heating higher because you chose to stand. But listen carefully. The fire that threatens you cannot destroy what belongs to God. Because when faith stands firm, He steps into the flames Himself. You may enter bound, but you will walk out free. The furnace glowed with raging anger. The crowd had bowed beneath its sound. The three stood still through trembling pressure, refusing to be driven down. The flames grew high, the soldiers faltered. The heat consumed the mighty strong. But holy courage stood unshaken, for heaven's presence was not gone. Stand in the fire, though the flames rise all around. Stand in the fire, grace is holy ground. When all the world demands surrender and darkness says your faith must bend, the God who walks beside His people will stand with you until the end. Through the blaze, a fourth was walking, a form of glory shining bright. No chain remained, no smoke had touched them. The fire became redeeming light. The king stood still, his pride was broken. The watching world could clearly see the God they served was there among them, and truth had set His servants free. Stand in the fire, though the flames rise all around. Holy ground. When all the world demands surrender and darkness says your faith must bend, the God who walks beside His people will stand with you until the end. Let the harmonica cry like thunder. Let the accordion loudly proclaim. Let the piano roll like fire, magnifying heaven's name. For the flames became His witness, and deliverance quickly came. And the God who walked with Daniel's brothers still is mighty, just the same. Stand in the fire, for His presence is revealed. Stand in the fire, every wound is healed. And when you walk back through the ashes, all the world will testify. The God who enters blazing furnaces still is standing by. there's another in the fire. You are not alone.
Look at me for just a moment. Have you ever walked a road you did not understand? Have you ever felt obedience pressing against your chest so heavily that every single step felt harder than the one before? Abraham knew that road. In the coldness of that morning, he gathered the wood, lifted his eyes toward the mountain, and started walking. He had no answers. He had no explanation. He only had a word from God. And maybe that is where you are tonight. Maybe your feet are tired. Maybe tomorrow feels uncertain. Maybe fear keeps whispering that there will not be enough. But listen carefully. The same God who tested Abraham's faith had already prepared the ram before Abraham ever reached the top. The silence of God has never meant his absence. Keep climbing, because at the summit, his faithfulness will be waiting for you. Climbing this road of broken stone, with heavy sorrow in my hands. The wind keeps asking why so long, and still I struggle just to stand. The sky feels silent far above, and fear keeps telling me to fall. But something deeper calls my soul, a holy whisper through it all. God will provide. Up on the mountain I will see God will provide. Even when my strength leaves me, when all my power fades away, your presence will sustain my soul. And on the altar of surrender, your provision makes me whole. So many climb with hidden tears, still carrying burdens no one sees, looking ahead through shattered dreams, falling down on wounded knees. But long before the tears could fall, the heavens knew what they would need. The God who governs all creation has already planted seed. God will provide. Up on the mountain I will see God will provide. Even when my strength leaves me, when all my power fades away, your presence will sustain my soul. And on the altar of surrender, your provision makes me whole. Let the
mystery. Let the accordion softly cry. The lamb was waiting in the thicket before faith ever climbed that high. And every soul that climbs in sorrow will smile beneath redemption's sky. God will provide, every promise will be revealed. God will provide, every broken place will heal. And when my hope is bruised and tired, your living word will make me strong. And in the silence of surrender, your miracle was there all along. He already provided. He already prepared it. Keep climbing.